Hello, fellow reps and distributors. I just wanted to send a message out to you about these non-for-profit events that we're working on. I'm so proud of the reps across the United States and what they're doing to connect with the non-for-profits in their local communities. I can't say enough about, I believe this is the direction and what Team Guerrilla is really all about. The bottom line to it is these signs are perfect for non-for-profit events. So all you simply need to do is connect the dots. The 5%ers want to buy the signs for the events because they want a higher profile image of themselves at those events. So what you do is simply go find the non-for-profit event, get the name of the person that you want to communicate with at that event. Make sure you have the right contact person. That's a key. Otherwise, it's just like anything else. You have to have a decision maker. Otherwise, it'll get lost in the shuffle. If you present this product to the wrong person, they will then present it to someone else who will say, you know what, I don't get it, I don't want it, and they'll pass over it. So it's no different than any other business, other than the fact that with non-for-profits, it's connected to an emotional attachment. And that emotional attachment goes beyond the company itself, the non-for-profit. It actually goes on to the corporations that donate the money to that. I'm passing through Osage Beach right now on my way to Columbia, Missouri. Kind of an overcast day, but it helps me to think about all the non-for-profit people who work on these events. See, I use this analogy. It takes this large group of people for a non-for-profit to gather all the ingredients that's needed to make this really cool cake. We'll call it a birthday cake for people that are in need. And they build this cake in celebration of what might be discovered or what might be created or invented or made that can make a better life for the non-for-profit that the money's being raised for. I use analogies because I think that sometimes human beings need that picture in their mind. I know I'm that way. So here's the reality. They work really hard and they build this magnificent cake. They get the eggs, they get the flour, they get all the stuff they need and the ingredients to build this really a one-of-a-kind cake each and every time that they build one of these non-for-profit events, whether it's a dance event, skating event, swimming event, bicycle event, walk event, even if it's just an event outdoors to raise money. It doesn't really matter. But on the national scale, it's certainly a high level, but on a local high school that's raising money just for the band, it doesn't matter. In principle, it stays the same. They work really hard to build this cake. But the thing that I've noticed my entire life, from back literally in my junior high days and my grade school days, when I first started to go out and work for my very first non-for-profit, the thing that I realized was missing was the icing on the cake. They work so hard to create this cake, and I understand why. I mean, let's face it. They're building this cake with greatly volunteers, and they're using borrowed money of someone else's money, so they want to minimize the amount of money that is necessary to build this cake, because what they're really after is solving their problems. It's the celebration of is all the cake really is. So it's very confusing. It's kind of like, well, do I spend money on building this cake, or do I really work over here to solve this problem? Well, they're kind of both one and the same. That's probably the confusing thing for a lot of people out there, and certainly even for the non-for-profits. You can't just build the cake and then leave the icing off the cake, because let me tell you, the people who give the money to solve the problems need the icing on the cake in order to really draw their attention. And you'd like to think that they give the money just to solve the problem. And I certainly think there's no country in the world, in fact I know there's no country in the world that gives more for that sole purpose than the United States. But the question is, are we throwing away an awful lot of lemons that are not squeezed yet because there's a lot more juice in the lemon? I believe yes there is. So how do we get more juice out of the lemon? Well, I can tell you, you gotta have the icing on the cake, or otherwise they don't pay any attention. See, these huge corporations, they don't mind giving money and they have money to give. But here's the reality. If you set aside a certain amount of money as a corporation to give, and you can give it to anybody that you want to give it to, and part of the reason you do that is because you're getting a tax write-off. Part of the reason you do it is because you're a humanitarian. Hopefully it's, that, but the reality is it's probably 90% of the money given is because it's a tax write-off. And because they can choose who they give it to. So from a humanitarian standpoint, they give it to who they have the most connection with. I'm just saying, after interviewing 10 billionaires in my lifetime, the one common denominator that I found was that if you can give them an opportunity to make more money so they can give more money, they're going to grab that opportunity almost every time. Because they're a real believer in spreading it around as much as they can. It's their nature. It's how they got to where they're at. They believe it's in the numbers. They believe in creating as much as possible with as little effort as possible. That's the definition of Guerrilla. So here's the reality. The icing on the cake will attract, every time, more money. So if your non-for-profit doesn't have that icing on the cake, then you're missing out. Now think about this. Those organizations that do have icing on their cake are going to be the organizations that get more money. If Guerrilla can bring more icing to the cake, and that can be our focus as a company, then imagine what we're doing for all non-for-profits that we help. It's priceless. Imagine what we're doing for humanity. It's priceless. So keep in mind that, yes, we're working here to build our own company. But if companies will think in terms of multitasking, accomplishing more with less, that's got to be a good thing. And if we can help other companies to do that, that's got to be a good thing. See, I believe the backbone of our country, and our company, is non-for-profits. I think it's what makes our country so strong. Our government doesn't have to take its funds to solve problems in this country because non-for-profits do it for us. Not entirely, but certainly highly complements the necessities of this country. And not only our country, but around the world. We're not limited in any regard in that manner as far as Team Guerrilla. We want to help the whole world. We're not after just the United States, although that is a focus of ours, certainly right now. It starts here before we can grow across the world. So I just reach out to you, and I know that I'm repeating myself often to many of you, but I want to drive it home. I can't express how much it means to me and how much I believe it means to each and every one of you. And as new team members come on, I realize that it's the same over and over again because you've been recruited for a very specific reason. It's for your abilities, your compassion, your knowledge, and your want to be a team, because you recognize and know that as a team we can accomplish so much more. Know that every time that you do a non-for-profit in your hometown, you're helping everybody else across the United States to accomplish the same thing that you're accomplishing in that town. Now think about that. That means your efforts go a lot farther than just that one market. And that, guys, means a lot to a lot of people. It certainly does to me, and I know it will to you as well. Help us to figure out ways to put that icing on the cake. That's what Team Guerrilla is about. We get really good at that, guys. Paying your bills, helping your family will not be a problem. In fact, you'll be able to help a whole lot of other people do the same. And that's pretty exciting. That's what Team Guerrilla is about, is a team to help small to medium businesses grow, as well as new ideas to grow, as well as corporations to connect with that. If we can bring some of that top dollars in the Fortune 500 companies to be utilized to help our country in a more aggressive way, that's got to be a good thing. That's a win-win. If Guerrilla can be a part of that, then that brand is going to be very valuable, which makes you very valuable, which makes you very rich. So be a part of this, be a part of the solution, and get excited about it, get focused, think, strategize, use your talents, and they're going to vary from rep to rep, as we've talked about. But there's just no exception here to the rule that the more we focus on bringing attention to non-for-profits, which means that we've got to get distributors who help us to do that. You've got to leverage your abilities, leverage your talents, and get help. These signs do that because they give back. They don't just ask us to give, but they give back. They brand us. They brand us to people. Remember, we're in the people business. Communication and people is the key. If we are really good at communicating to other people at the right time, then that's value. That's the icing on the cake that non-for-profits are missing. They don't get that in high enough numbers, a high enough concentration of sugar. Sugar's the money, it's the exposure. That's what the icing on the cake is. So help us to figure that out. I appreciate you listening to this video. Keep up the good work, guys. I'm so excited and so proud of Team Guerrilla. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.